I need to be. The more lessons rain down, more blessings I see. Hey, so there are lies in the facets of everything that
All right, good evening, everyone, and welcome to Free. I'm Ryan. I'm the pastor and executive director here. This is Carrie. She is the associate executive director here at Free. So good to be with you all tonight. For those of you joining us online, it's really good to be with you all wherever you're joining us from, whatever state you're from, or I know we have sober livings and treatment centers and just all kinds of people out there. Chicago might be joining us again tonight, and yeah, so good to have you all here. Glad you're part of this community. To remind you, this is a community for addicts, loved ones of addicts, and spiritual refugees. And what we do here is break the silence of addiction and create space for healing, recovery, and spiritual connection. There's always one thing we don't do here. Y'all can shout it out on the count of three. 1, 2, 3. We don't do shame. But Carrie's going to tell you some other important things we do coming up.
Hello. It is now working. Hi. So if you are new with us, welcome. We are glad that you're here. We would love to get to know you. If you stay after, we actually have some welcome bags just outside of these doors. You'll find some fresh roasted Wagon coffee, thanks to the amazing ladies at Wagon Coffee, specifically Miss Tami I. She's pretty amazing. And so is her coffee. You can also get our Connect card, get connected, sign up for our newsletter. You'll stay informed of all the fun events we have here, who our guest storyteller is that week, any of the events that we have going on, like tomorrow. Tomorrow is a interesting one-off. We are not usually open on Sundays, but I hear there's a big game on television that
it's a football game, yes,
people, I found out that it's Taylor Swift's boyfriend and a really pretty green team who are playing tomorrow, so go football people.
Ouch.
But doors will open at 3 o'clock.
3:30.
3:30. The cafe will be open thanks to our new assistant cafe manager, Christy. She was it's pretty amazing. So she's going to open it for us. It's going to be sponsored by Elevate Recovery.
Yeah, we're co-hosting this event with Elevate. Doors open at 3:30. Kickoff is until 4:30. But come, it's going to be a fun time. It's like the place to be. Sober Super Bowl Sunday.
Go Sports.
Go Sports. Carrie,
right.
Are you coming?
I will not be here.
Something tells me
but
she's not into this.
have fun. It's going to be really fun. Bye, guys.
We go for the commercials. All right, y'all. Hey, I told y'all a few weeks ago about an event we're doing here in April. It's a 2-day summit. And Carrie and I shot a little video last week, and we figured we'd show it to you before we put it on social and a newsletter. Here it is.
From almost the very beginning of Free's history, we've gotten lots of inquiries from all over the country. How do you do Free? What do you do? How did you start? I wonder if we could do that here. We still get those questions, and now we're 6 years into this thing, and we've learned a ton. So we're hosting Faith and Recovery, a 2-day summit to explore a new way. Maybe you're a pastor, a faith leader, nonprofit leader, support staff, or some kind of other leader, and you're interested in a new way. You're seeing a need in your community. You see the value of merging faith and recovery. This 2-day summit is for you. April 25th and 26th, right here at Free Recovery Community in Denver, Colorado. Put a team together or come by yourself.
Here's some of what you can expect. You'll hear from different leaders in our community so you can get a full picture of what we do here at Free and how we do it. We'll share the good, the hard, and all the lessons we've learned along the way. You'll hear stories from those who have been impacted by our mission of breaking the silence of addiction. And of course, you'll be sharing with each other stories and insights around your specific mission and location. We'll learn from one another. During this 2-day summit, we'll cover topics such as how to get started, why mission matters, the importance of building community partnerships, how to do fundraising, and how to start small but think big. Some of our meals together are provided by Jeff and his crew at Chef. This local nonprofit is focused around recovery. They do amazing work and create some fabulous dishes. We hope you consider joining us.
This event is capped at 40 people. So if you want to come, we encourage you to sign up early. To register, head over to our website, freerecoverycommunity.com. We look forward to seeing you in Denver in April.
All right. It's going down. So I show that video to you to say if you know of leaders of any sort that are interested, we'll put this video on social this week and YouTube and the newsletter. Please do share it with them. We've already got 12 people signed up from all over the country that are going to be joining us here. So the event, this is our first time ever doing it, but we think it's going to fill up. So sign up early if you're interested. If you know other leaders who are interested, put them in touch with us. We'd love to have them here. All right, y'all, the way we get started here at Free on Saturday nights is with celebrations. We start with the good. We lift up the good. We take 3 minutes for this, a very important part of our time together, celebrating together, God joining with us in the celebrations. Maybe you're celebrating a sobriety anniversary or birthday or whatever the new thing is in your life, your recovery. We celebrate it all here. There's nothing too big or too small. If you're joining us online, drop your celebrations in the Facebook comments or the YouTube comments, and we're going to join with you there. Here in-house, all you have to do is raise up your hand. Gerald will have a mic on this side. Who's got the other mic? Carrie? Carrie has the other mic. Someone can really... Colleen, you look like you really want to pass around a mic tonight. She's going to be great at this. Thank you, Colleen, for being of service. All you got to do is when someone raises up their hand them the mic, and y'all give us the good news. Let's take 3 minutes. This time is yours. Oh, is it on? Sorry, we got to call it. She's a first timer. Go ahead, Kayla.
My name is Kayla, and I'm celebrating 289 days sober.
289 days sober, Kayla. Way to go.
Hi, my name is Cody, and I just want to celebrate my dad's birthday today.
All right. Happy birthday, Dad. Celebrate that.
Hi friends, I'm Sarah. I've been working hard on getting my phlebotomy certification, and I passed and graduated today. I'm a Colorado certified phlebotomist.
All right, way to go, Sarah. Congratulations.
Hi, my name is Mel, and I celebrated 90 days of sobriety on Thursday.
Way to go, Mel. Happy 90. Congratulations.
Hi, my name is Crystal, and a couple weeks ago you talked about how every day you invite God into your life, and so I've been doing that every day, and I feel like every day has been getting a little bit better.
Oh my goodness, we'll celebrate that. Invite God on in. Beautiful. We have someone here in the second row.
Hi, I'm Alexia. I'm celebrating 136 days sober today.
All right, way to go. Glad you're here. Happy 136.
My name is Andrew. Today I have 33 days clean, and I also want to celebrate the strawberry bread because it is freaking good. So good.
Strawberry bread, you can get it over in a cafe. I'm going to have to try that. I saw you walking around with it. It looks amazing. I'm going to get me some. See, I told you, nothing's too big or too small to celebrate here. Anyone else? All right.
I'm Matt, and I'm celebrating 320 days sober.
All right, man. Congratulations, Matt. Glad you're here, buddy.
Hi, my name is Christine, and I just want to celebrate anybody here new tonight. This is a wonderful community, and we are so happy that you're here. Thank you so much for coming.
Yeah, we'll celebrate that. Thank you, Christine.
My name is Ray. I've been a peer recovery coach for like a year and a half now. And two of my first three clients relapsed, and I took it really bad. And I've seen all three of them in recovery in the last 2 days, man. It's amazing.
Yeah, that's a beautiful thing. Way to go, Ray. Thank you for sharing that with us. Thank you, Colleen and Gerald. And yeah, you can make the handoff to Tami. Tami Canada, ladies and gentlemen, joining me up here. Yeah, we didn't fight for
That strawberry bread, though.
Have you tried it
Oh
yet?
my gosh. So I took a loaf of it to a meeting with some women yesterday, and they said the same thing. It tastes like angel food cake.
You didn't bring any home last night?
No, we ate it all. It was
There's
so
still
good.
time. There's still tonight. All right. Let's join our online community. You want to
Yes.
take the first one?
Hey, Mark. He says, my celebration tonight is 485 days free from fentanyl and speed.
Way to go, Mark. We'll celebrate that. 485. Allison says, 6 years recovery anniversary, 6-year recovery anniversary on the 12th. Happy 6
Awesome.
years to you, Allison.
Hi, Seth. Hey, from Chicago. Gathering for week 2.
All right, welcome, Chicago. We're glad you're here. Seth is, by the one, leading the launch in Chicago this fall. Free Recovery Community Chicago. All right. How do you say her name?
I just say A.
A. A. We're going to say A, and you can correct us on in the comments. But celebrating 30 days sober today. Way to go. Glad you're joining us. Congratulations.
Awesome.
All right. Thank you, Tami, for being up here. All right, y'all. So we're in the final week of this series, the 4 Agreements. But can I tell you, I didn't tell the 5 o'clock what we're doing next week. Next week, we're going to start a new series, a 6-week series on the master philosopher. You might have heard of him, Dr. Seuss. His book called Oh, the Places You'll Go. We're going to do 6 weeks on this, Oh, the Places You'll Go When You Embrace Recovery. So that's going to start next week. But this week, it's our 4th and final week on the 4 Agreements, the book called The 4 Agreements. Here's a video.
Who do you aspire to be in the coming year? What values will define your path? Where will you stand firm in your recovery? And what vision do you hold for your life this year? This is your time to create the life you've always envisioned. Join us for the next 4 weeks, and let's walk together to shape your values, your vision, and your future.
The 4th of the 4 agreements is always do your best, and I think it has everything to do with these 2 things. And the first one is you being fully present to your life, and then the second, you taking action so that you might live the fullest kind of life. And let's start here. Have you noticed how you have these profound moments in your life, but you don't realize it until much later? Like, you have to have the passage of time. You have to have time for reflection. For instance, when I got sober on January 7th of 2013, I had zero intention of this being a profound moment in my life. In fact, at the time, I would have told you this is like the very opposite of profound. It did not feel profound. It felt like, and it was being at the bottom, running out of your own resources. It was being completely exhausted. It was not having the energy left to pick up the shovel and dig any deeper. And when my wife, when she came down the stairs that morning at 6 a.m., holding an empty bottle of vodka, saying, Ryan, what are we going to do? This did not feel profound. It felt awful. Now, the passage of time to reflect, being in recovery for a minute, I can tell you that this is indeed a profound moment in my life. It's one that I will never forget. I don't want to forget this moment. It's formed me, transformed me. It's a story that I tell often. Now, there are other moments that are profound in your life, and you actually realize it in the moment. Have you had these? I had one recently. In fact, Chicago people, it happened in Chicago. When I was in Chicago back in May, some of y'all remember me telling you about this trip. It was me and my eight-year-old boy, Breck. We flew out to Chicago to meet my mom and grandma. They were flying in from Florida. It was like my grandma's bucket list trip to see Shedd Aquarium in Chicago. Now, the whole time we were there, and we were only there for 3 days, all 3 days, all Breck talked about, my 8-year-old boy, all they talked about was the souvenir he was going to get in Chicago. The souvenir that he wanted was a Michael Jordan jersey, the kid's jersey, of course. I mean, that's all he talked about. And you can understand the significance of it, can't you? Michael Jordan played for the Chicago Bulls. We're in Chicago. It makes sense to remember the trip. You get a Jordan jersey. So on our last day there, we woke up that morning. We went down to the hotel lobby to have our breakfast. And I said, Breck, let's go get that jersey, man. Let's go get your souvenir. And he lights up like a Christmas tree. He's all sorts of excited. I said, there's a sports store down the street. Let's walk over to that sports store. So we walk over to that sports store, and we walk in, and they had Jordan jerseys, but they didn't have kid sizes. Not a problem. We're going to go to the next store. There's another one just down the street. We walk into that store, same story. Then we got into store 3, 4, 5, and it was always the same story. They either didn't have his size, they didn't have kids' jerseys, or the jerseys were pink, and Breck wasn't having it. We made it into store 6. Same story. I mean, we'd by this time walked all over downtown Chicago. Same story. They didn't have his size in the kid sizes. And I said to Breck, I said, dude, are you sure like there's no other souvenir that would do? Like what about this really cool Chicago Cubs hat? That'd be kind of cool. Nah, he wasn't having it. Well, what about this, the Chicago Bears sweatshirt? I mean, I know they kind of suck, but it looks comfy, doesn't it? That'd be great. He drops this line on me. He says, Poppy, it's the only thing I've ever wanted in my entire life. And I'm like, dude, you're 8, man, putting all this kind of pressure on me. So I asked the guy at the store, at that 6th store, I said, listen, dude, we've walked all over downtown Chicago. I am hungry. I'm tired. We've walked many, many blocks. Is there any store you can think of that might have Jordan jerseys that we haven't been to yet? And without missing a beat, he looks at me and he says, dude, have you checked out Macy's? And I'm thinking to myself exactly what you're thinking. Dude, I didn't come all the way to Chicago to go to Macy's. I could have done that in Denver. I get out my phone. I put it in the maps. I see that Macy's is another 72 blocks in the other direction. I said, Breck, do you want to walk this? He says, yeah, let's walk. And I want to be present to the moment, right? Because if we find it, it's going to be a big moment. So we start walking the 72 blocks. I might be exaggerating a little bit, but it felt like it. We get there a little while later, and it's one of those really big Macy's, several stories high, many floors. And we walk in the front, and I ask the lady who was there, I said, do you all have jerseys? She said, yes, go up to the 4th floor. So we get on the escalator, and the 2nd one, 3rd one, 4th one, we get off that 4th escalator, and in the distance, I see this rack of jerseys. And y'all, I'm thinking to myself, this could be the big moment. And if they have it, it will be a big moment. And Breck starts walking faster to this rack of jerseys. And the first one he picks up, sure enough, it was a Jordan jersey in his size. And he got the Jordan jersey. Yeah. Some moments are big moments, and you actually realize it in the moment. You know what I'm saying? And that jersey. He's here tonight sitting on the couch. I mean, he's wearing it. He loves that jersey. He wears it several times a week. That thing has been in the washing machine dozens of times. The stitching is starting to come loose just a little bit. It looks a little rougher than when we bought it, doesn't it? I mean, he tells the story of where he got that jersey. You see, what would it be like? What if we lived every day with the mindset of this is going to be a big moment? Can you imagine how present we would be to our lives? In the book of Exodus, which is, by the way, the 2nd book of the Hebrew Bible or the Old Testament. In the book of Exodus, it goes Genesis, then Exodus. Well, God gives this command to Moses and says, Moses, I want you to come up this mountain and be with me. And you have to understand just a little bit of backstory about who Moses is and what was happening during this time. Important part of the story is Moses was this leader chosen by God to go rescue his people, the Israelites, the Hebrew people. These are Moses' people. Go into Egypt where they're being held as slaves under the rule of Pharaoh and go bring them out of Egypt and lead them into the promised land. The problem is they didn't make it directly into the promised land. They spent many, many years, decades, wandering in the wilderness or wandering in the desert. And in Exodus chapter 24, you have this really fascinating verse. Check it out. The Lord said to Moses, "Come up to me on the mountain and stay here." I know you're thinking, Ryan, come on, man. What's so fascinating about that verse? Here's what's fascinating about it. Scholars, translators, haven't known exactly what to do with this verse for many, many years. It's kind of baffling because you see that word, that phrase, stay here. Stay here, the Hebrew word, because keep in mind the Old Testament is written in the ancient Hebrew language. The Hebrew word for stay here, well, it's this word, hayah. Say it with me, hayah. I know, you want a karate chop, right? Hayah. Hayah literally translates simply to be. And you see why it's a bit confusing, because the verse would then read, the Lord said to Moses, "Come up to me on the mountain and be here on this mountain." Wait a minute, what? Come up on this mountain and be here on this mountain? I mean, can you imagine Moses' response to that? It'd probably be similar to our response, wouldn't it? Come on, God, you sound a bit redundant here. Like, come on, God, is there really another way to do it? Could I really climb up this mountain and somehow not be on this mountain? And yet, do you see how profound this command is? I mean, do you see how profound it is? The Hebrew writers, it's like they give us a God who understands something about human nature, because is it possible that Moses would be climbing up this mountain? Moses would get to the top of the mountain, very important person, things to do, people to see, and when he gets there, he would immediately begin planning and plotting on how to get back down the mountain. Moses, come up this mountain and be on this mountain. Was God saying to Moses, Moses, I want you to come up this mountain and listen, when you get there, I want you to be fully present to the moment. When you get there, I want you to be all the way here. And do you know, why is this idea of being so important? What's up with being? We have to remember these people, they were slaves in Egypt. They were just coming out of Egypt, held under the rule of Pharaoh, who was the king. In Egypt, they worked as slaves 7 days a week. There was no time for rest, only work. It was laying brick after brick after brick for Pharaoh. Pharaoh told them more, more, more. This is how you survived, with more, as being a slave in Egypt. No time for being, only for doing. And was God teaching them how to simply be again? I mean, can you imagine God saying, y'all aren't in Egypt anymore. You're not slaves. I am not Pharaoh. You must learn how to be again. And it all sounds so ancient and distant, doesn't it? Until I ask you this question. How many of us here, how many of us had to learn how to hayah, how to be again in our recovery? Because we were like slaves in Egypt. Man, our Pharaoh looked a little different, but not much different. Yeah, we didn't call it Pharaoh. We called it booze or drugs or being addicted to the addict in your life. But man, that Pharaoh for us demanded the same thing, didn't he? More, more, more. And this is how we learned how to survive. This is what we did for survival. And now in our recovery, it's like God is inviting us up this mountain. And can you imagine God saying to you, listen, when you get up to the top of the mountain, when you get there, I just want you to be fully present. I want you to be all the way there. And it's true, isn't it? We're learning ourselves all over again. In recovery, we're learning ourselves, and we're learning what connection is. Connection to ourselves, connection to others, connection to God or higher power or spirit or universe or whatever you call it. I mean, what if we lived every day with this mindset of this is going to be a big moment? You may not see it at the time, but it is going to be a big moment. Can you imagine how present we would be to our lives? And I want to give one warning, one word of pause, because whatever you do, don't do this. Do not get stuck in the game of comparing your moments to the moments of the person next to you. It's a losing game. You will never win that game. You know, my friend Eric, who was here at the last service, sitting in the second row. My friend Eric, he's had some big moments. And he has some big moments. In fact, just this week, he was telling a few of us about how he got sober. He was reminding us the story. Do you all know how he got sober? He literally got sober living in a trailer, camping in a trailer down by the river. He was camping by himself for a few days, and he was drinking copious amounts of booze and fishing. And one evening, some police officers came to his door. They knocked on the door, and they said, "Hey, we're just checking on you because we've seen you out here for a few days now, and you're by yourself, and you're drinking lots of booze. Are you okay?" Eric says, "No, I'm not okay." Eric is taken to the hospital. He gets to the hospital, and when he gets there, the doctors tell him, they say, "Sir, we are so sorry, but you are not going to survive this. All your major organs are shutting down. You need to call your family and tell them they need to come right away and say their final goodbyes." And Eric miraculously survived this event. He has not picked up a drink since then. That was 2020. He works his recovery, and he helps a ton of people along the way. And do you know, sometimes I hear his story, or I hear a story like that, and my brain says, "Oh man, your moments just aren't as big as his moments. He's got bigger moments than you." What a terrible category, by the way, right? Bigger moments. Well, you don't have those moments. His moments are bigger. I mean, cops came to his door. Well, my wife just came down the stairs with tears flowing down her cheeks saying, "What are we going to do?" Well, man, he was taken to the hospital. He was told he was literally dying. And, man, I called a therapist that day because I wanted to do it on my own. I didn't want to connect with other people. I wanted to do it one-on-one, and that therapist, she essentially told me to get my ass to an AA meeting. And yet, we both suffered from the same problem. Once we started, we could not stop. And yet, through a series of moments, we both found the same solution: spiritual connection. Amen. You see, I'm reminded when I started working my 12 steps, when I got a sponsor, and I know everyone in this room is not a 12-stepper, and that's totally okay. There's other forms and methods of recovery. 12 steps is my way. It's worked for me. When I started working the 12 steps, and when I started working with a sponsor, did step 1. Okay, that was good. Step 2, had to spend a lot of time on step 2 because that was a scary one. Step 2 is where we come to believe that a power greater than us could restore us to sanity. Okay, so I can believe in a power greater than me, but being restored to sanity, wait a minute, I'm not insane. I had to get there. I had to see the insanity in my brain through a series of questions. Ryan, how many days, how many promises did you make to yourself and other people that you were never going to drink again? And you really meant it. You believed it up here. And then later that day, your brain told you it was a good idea to pick up a drink again. That's insanity. That is the definition of insanity. And then when I got to my third step, I thought, this is going to be my big moment. I've heard people talk about the third step. The third step is where we turn our lives and our wills over to the care of God as we understand God. Big deal. My sponsor told me, he said, "Ryan, we're going to go into that beautiful chapel, and we're going to kneel together and pray the third step prayer." So that day we walked into this beautiful chapel, and we knelt down in this chapel, and he recited it because he, of course, had it memorized. I had to read it. I didn't have it memorized yet. And after we prayed, I remember being in like one of these moments. All right, God, well, this is my big moment, right? I'm supposed to feel it, right? I hear people talk about it. This warmth comes over the body. All right, God, I'm ready. Can I tell y'all? I felt nothing. I didn't feel it. In fact, I felt the same in that moment as I did before I walked into that chapel. And do you know what I've learned in my recovery? My recovery has taught me you are not always going to feel it, but you do have to keep going. my life, and I couldn't see it at the time, my life was changing. My entire life was being reoriented to a different way, and all those seemingly non-moments become very profound moments, even when you can't see it at the time. You see, recovery, if we let it, it will ask us this very important question, and that is, will you have the courage to hayah, to be, and to be all the way there, to be present to the gift that is your life? You see, what if we lived every day with a mindset of this is going to be a big moment? Can you imagine how present to your life you would be? And I'll close with this. Because you do know all of this, it does require some action on your part. That is, if you believe God wants you to be happy, joyous, and free. It does require some action. In fact, the New Testament book of James puts it this way: as the lifeless body is dead, so faith without actions is dead. The big book of Alcoholics Anonymous says it this way: we need more action, without which we find that faith without works is dead. And the Four Agreements book puts it this way: action is about living fully. Inaction is the way we deny life. Do you know, on Thursday evening of this week, we were out to dinner as a family. We went to Wahoo's Fish Tacos, because Wahoo's on Thursday nights, they do kids eat free. And when you have as many kids as we do, that's an important deal. So we are there eating our fish tacos. And my teenage daughter, Selah, she asked me a very interesting question. She says, "Poppy, how do you stay close to God?" Well, that's a loaded question, isn't it? I mean, how would y'all answer that one with a 14-year-old? And so I started explaining to Selah. I talked to her about the role of prayer in my life, prayer and meditation. I talked to Selah about journaling, and I told her when I was her age, I kept a prayer journal, and I still have some of those prayer journals. I told her that I stay involved in community, and I stay connected to my recovery community, and I try not to disconnect, and this is how I stay close to God. And I talked to Selah about aligning with others, and it doesn't mean we don't hang out with people different than us. It's asking the question, who gets a voice in your life? Who are the ones you listen to? I talked to her about the importance of getting quiet in my life and how that's a major role that I take seriously today. I talked to her about the importance of what we put into our minds and the content that we fill our minds with. And I told her that these actions, they have a way of somehow leading me to a deeper openness, a deeper awareness that we might call spiritual connection. And if you think I'm trying to sound pious, I promise you, I know all the ways to act to live in the numbness, in the closed offness, and what we would call spiritual disconnection. Yes, it used to be booze. That was a way to disconnect. But you do know, even in recovery, we can fill that with other things. We can fill it with mindless scrolling on Instagram. We can fill it with this craving of needing to be right in every situation of conflict. We can fill it with 100 different, with the quick fix. The quick fix that we can get through, maybe in one setting, massive amounts of sugar that feels good in the moment. And listen, y'all, I do know, I am well aware that there is, for many of you, there's a heaviness. There's a heaviness right now. A lot going on in our world, a lot going on in our country. You know, I was laying in bed, Tami and I, we were getting ready to go to sleep, and I was flipping through the TV channels, and I came across a movie, Point Break. Anyone watch Point Break? Yeah, one of the finest films ever created, right? Keanu Reeves and Patrick Swayze, 1991. The undercover agent and the bank robbers and their surfers. Does it get any better than that? And I'm watching Point Break for like 20 seconds, didn't even get to the jumping out of the plane scene yet, and Tami, she grabs the remote, and she starts to change the channel, and she says, I just can't. I can't do it. No shooting, no bank robbers, I just can't do it. She said, I just have this heaviness that's just been sitting in me for a few days, and I can't do that. And she said, the number of people who've come into my Wagon Coffee room this week and have expressed this heaviness. Yeah, the heaviness is real. there is a heaviness. And what I know about this heaviness is we got to be very careful. It is not to ignore it, not to avoid it. But if we pay too much attention to the heaviness, it will always try to convince you out of the present. It will have you stuck romanticizing the past, and you do nothing, there's no action. It'll have you stuck in the future tripping, and there's nothing, there's no action, and you will have to take action in your life to stay grounded, to stay present, to stay all the way here, because my brothers and sisters, the world needs you. There's too much love left to give. And if you struggle with spiritual connection, or if you struggle with the heavy, if you struggle with this feeling of God is distant, well, we need a little action. And we've done this before, but I want to do it with you all again. Maybe we need to do it again and again and again. I invite you to take one hand and place it upon your chest. Take the other hand and place it upon your belly. And just breathe. Big, nice, deep breaths. Did you know our ancient Hebrew ancestors, it's all over the Hebrew scriptures, they believed that there was something divine about our breath, that God was in our breathing. I mean, central to the tradition for thousands of years have been practices, disciplines of prayer, meditation, silence, and breathing. So just take a moment as you feel your breath and invite God, who made the universe, into your breathing. Sometimes when we wonder, we ask, we shout, God, you feel so distant. Everything feels so heavy. I wonder if God is saying, wait a minute, I gave you breathing. I can't get any closer than that. Is God as close as breathing? And see, when we take the action to be open and aware, then we can come up that mountain and be Hayah, totally and utterly be on that mountain, be all the way here, present to your life, present to the life of others. And when we do that, we are living our best selves. So I want you to take a moment and just keep breathing, because breathing, turns out, it's really important. So just keep breathing and take a moment and reflect. This song that I want to play for you, it is a beautiful song by the artist Ben Rector. Any Ben Rector fans out there? Yeah, I love me some Ben Rector. I saw him live in San Diego in 2014. Here's a song called It's a Great Day to Be Alive. Take a moment and reflect. Kayla, you knew that song. Do you know a country artist did that song first? Yes, I didn't know it either. I had to Google it because y'all know I don't do country, but that I do. All right, y'all. And sorry there was no video with lyrics on it, so you just had to listen tonight. Hey, if it's your first time with us tonight, you should know that every Saturday night we have a guest storyteller in the house to join us to share some of their experience, strength, and hope around the topic at hand. They join us in the living room, and we've done it every week since the very beginning, and I cannot wait for y'all to meet my friend Colleen tonight. She's here live in the house. Can I say a few words about Colleen before we welcome her up? Yes. Colleen has been sober just over a year now, 14 months, right? Yeah, we can clap for that. Here's how Colleen and I are reconnected. So me, her, Tami, we went to the same Christian college together here in Colorado. Man, we both were, well, we're going to get into that. All the questions that we had to ask and all the growth we did. But that also comes with the shadow side, too. We lost touch for a little bit. We've been Facebook friends for years and years and years. But the last message I had received from Colleen was in 2012. And she said, hey, you, me, and Tami should go out for drinks. And, y'all, this was like at a time when I was trying to get sober, but I couldn't really do it. But I certainly didn't plan any drinking outings, but I didn't know how to say that to you. And if I drank, which I did, it was like always on a whim, like, I can't take it anymore. I'm just going to go get some whiskey. Anyway, Colleen and I didn't talk for a few years, some passage of time. And then I received a Facebook message from her about a year ago, and she said, hey, I'm newly sober, and I'm thinking of coming to Free tonight. And here she is. Help me welcome my friend, Colleen Leggett. Leggett. That's it, right? Leggett. Shall we do this one more time? Did I not turn it on? That might be my fault. Nope. We've had, there we go. See, I just have to touch it sometimes.
Okay.
Man, I'm always trying to, like when we met in our office, my office this week.
It's ours now.
It's ours now. She owns it. This beautiful conversation of like catching up on history and like the things we went through together, but we didn't really know we were going through it together. And, let's start with, why'd you decide to come to Free?
I decided, I had sort of been watching, that sounds weird, you and Tami, because we had known each other for so long. Yeah. I was aware of Free and of the work that you were doing, the work that Tami was doing, and I'm always so impressed by anyone who identifies a need and then figures out how to meet the need. So I was very impressed by all of this, but hadn't been to anything even resembling a church in 20 years, I think. Yeah. But a friend of mine from, I'm in an online sobriety group, which we will get into in a bit. A friend of mine had talked about coming here, and she had mentioned that she had a lot of religious trauma, but that this place had felt safe to her. And I was like, oh, I know that guy. Yeah. And and she was like, are you about to tell me something bad? And I'm like, actually, the opposite. Like nothing. He's not going to say anything weird. Like nothing. You're good. You'll be safe there. It's fine.
I found the quote. She laid the best line on me. She said, yeah, I remembered you and Tami being unproblematic Christians.
Yes.
Hence, there are problematic Christians, and thankfully I'm in the category that's unproblematic.
Correct.
That's a tattoo.
Yes, I would be honored if you got yeah, just across the forehead.
On the forehead.
Please.
So, an interesting part of your story and one that we share together is growing up in a rigid kind of evangelical setting, especially you were in the South Carolina. Colleen told me that I said, what church did you go to? She said, well, we were Baptist, but not Southern Baptist because they were considered too liberal.
Correct.
Which tells us like all we need to know in that statement.
Yeah.
What's the religious trauma? How does it play out?
In so many ways. It started, I got to Christian school, and I was like very sanctimonious with my high school friends who were going to state schools, and I was like, I'm going to Christian college. Y'all are making a mistake here. And then immediately, my first semester, I was in a Bible class and started to have all of these questions. The tradition that I was raised in was very fundamentalist. Which isn't based on faith. It's just based on being told that this is literally true and you don't ask anything further about it. And I felt so guilty for having questions. I thought I was being punished somehow. I didn't mean to have them. And then that kind of created this ripple effect. And there was a lot of other stuff going on at the time, just sort of coming into adulthood and being away from home all at the same time. And, I think the most traumatic part of it, from a theological standpoint, is just the concept of original sin. Like, it is so deeply
What
screwed
is
up.
original sin for those that
It
don't
is,
know?
so that is the idea that you are born sinful. And then, Jesus had to die on the cross to save you. There is something that I still believe is very toxic about telling a child they were born bad. And I mean, because kids don't understand that. You take that in. Yeah. I believed very much that it kind of created this dichotomy in my head where there are good people and bad people. Yep. When I started to have questions, that made me a bad person, which meant I might as well do all the bad person things because I didn't know anymore. And I didn't have, I wasn't making choices. My values were just dictated to me. They weren't coming from some authentic part. So I started drinking in college, as we drank together in college.
Yeah, we did.
Yes.
Oh, I didn't tell them this, though. Do you all know I met my wife, Tami? We celebrate 20 years in May. I met my wife, Tami, at Colleen's house.
Yes.
That was like our first date.
It was the Christian College party house off campus.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was. Can I back up a minute, though?
Yep.
Because I think it's so important. You mentioned the questions. And I know many of you, it's why we created a community for spiritual refugees, addicts, loved ones of addicts, spiritual refugees, anyone who's ever wondered if they belong with the God stuff. And I think I can speak for you on this, what I hear you saying, what I know I went through is the questions are so scary because it's not like you said, hey, I want to arrive somewhere and just ask all kinds of questions. These questions came upon us, and then it's like, what do we do? And how great would it have been to have a setting where it's like, no, your questions are good. Questions are like the way forward. Questions are the way to grow. But we're told questions are bad. Don't do that. That is being unloyal. It's not faithful. And God doesn't want your questions. And here, it's why we say all the time, we need the questions. Your questions are welcomed here. God is not afraid. We are not afraid of your questions. We need them.
It was
Sorry,
no, that you said something to that effect. One of the first services that I came to at Free, you said, this community needs your questions. And it healed something in me that I didn't know I even needed to be healed anymore. Yeah. So.
Because I believe that we are healed through our questions and the permission to be able to ask them. Yeah. Whew, man, that's like a whole series we got to do on that.
Yeah.
Okay, let's keep going. So you started drinking in college.
Yes.
As did I. How did it end for you? So you went on like a 20 years? I don't want to say your age or anything, but a 20-year bender, kind of.
Yeah, that's fair. Not
that sounds
not
terrible.
all
but you know
of
what
it
I mean.
was a bender. Although I know we talked about this. I used to sort of describe my early drinking as being like normal college drinking. And then recently I had this memory of like the wine that I would buy to write papers in school. And I was like, oh, nobody else was locking themselves in their room with 2 bottles of wine to do homework. Like that was not normal college drinking.
Yeah, that'd be in the abnormal category.
Yeah. but I thought I was cool and sophisticated because that's what the commercials told me.
And at some level you were. In your community, I mean, you were a bar drinker. So I
Yes.
like drink in isolation. You were opposite. You went out to bars.
Yes, and bars were my whole life. I had spent so much time I spent so much time in bars that the bartenders would drink with me on their day off at other bars. It was truly my whole community. So I knew that it was probably, I spent the last 10 years of my drinking just wondering like how long I was going to be able to keep doing this, knowing that I should figure out if I could like take a break, do dry January, those kinds of things. Like, but I was like, I'd have to change my entire life. Yeah. There is no way that this is going to work for me. I can't do that.
And you've done that. Your whole life.
I have changed my entire life.
Tell us, yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Tell us, how'd you get sober? What'd that look like?
So I had, it started off like kind of like a lot of these conversations I'd have in my head where I had what was not really a remarkable drinking day, and then was like, I have to quit doing this. That was like Memorial Day weekend. And so I'm like, it's almost June. June has 30 days. We just won't drink for June. That lasted till June 4th.
Yep.
And then I don't know why this time I was able to do this, but I had downloaded an app to track my drinking, and I just kept doing that for several months. And I was able to do it without assigning any value to it. I was like, we're just going to tell the truth and not beat ourselves up too much, and like maybe not look at it if we can't. But I learned some really important things from that. I learned that I could do okay not starting for a couple of days, but once I started, I was just never going to stop. And that meant that I needed to figure out how to not start. And then that kind of went back and forth. I would, make rules for myself. I would try to string more and more days together. I was reading all of the books. There was one important moment where I was reading a book by a woman named Laura McCowan, and she had said something that was a very important shift in my thinking. She said, people, we tend to ask the question, is this bad enough to change? When a better question is this good enough to stay the same? And the question underneath it all is, am I free? And I knew that I was not. I knew that I had spent years waking up in the morning and thinking like, this cannot be life. This can't be it. There has to be something more. And I continued on this pattern, sort of like trying and failing, and then had a particularly tough morning. This is like one of my big moments when I was super frustrated, and I had done like a little over 30 days and then started drinking again, and then just could not stop, and I couldn't even get one day sober. And I was going to my office that day, and I would always drink after being at my office, and I just fell apart in tears because I didn't want to get drunk that night, and I didn't know how to not get drunk that night. And I was reading Laura McCowan's book, and I knew that she had an online sober support group, and I was like, we're not shopping around, we're just doing this ladies thing, and we're gonna hope it works. I know people have all kinds of feelings about Zoom recovery, and doing sort of an online thing. There was no way I was gonna leave my house, especially that day. I was actually very afraid that if I left my house, I was gonna get real drunk. So that day I hopped on a recovery meeting. And then listened to people tell stories about going through the same cycle that I was trapped in. I've never in my life felt so relieved to not be special, to be like, ooh, all of these people know what I'm talking about. And then after several weeks of that, and still reading all the books and trying all the things, I picked another hard date, December 1st, and that time it stuck.
Yeah. And you didn't know it was going to stick. It just stuck.
No.
Yeah.
No, I had heard people say that. Lots of people in my life had said that they didn't know their last drink was their last drink.
Yeah.
And so I was so prepared. I had gotten better, at not being mean to myself. I think I had previously thought that, you need like mental toughness and all of these things. And like, sure, that's some of it. But also I had to love myself so hard and be so gentle and like so forgiving all of the time.
Can we show Laura McCowan's 9 things? Colleen was telling me about these 9 things, and I thought, oh, those are so interesting. Check these things out. You can screenshot it too. Number 1, it's not your fault. Number 2, it is your responsibility. Number 3, and notice the paradox in all these. I love it. Number 3, it is unfair that this is your thing. Number 4, this is your thing. 5, this will never stop being your thing until you face it. 6, you can't do it alone. 7, only you can do it. 8, you are loved. 9, we will never stop reminding you of these things. How great is that? So powerful. Okay, so let's close with this, Colleen. What are some ways that you in last year, in the year of your recovery, you've had to learn how to be present to your life? What are some action steps you take towards that?
A lot of it was learning how to be in my body and not try to run away from things all the time. So in that way, yoga has been super helpful. All kinds of embodiment practices have been helpful. Breathing, very helpful. Not just because it's important, because it's always with you. I think, I was like very disappointed to learn that the yoga people were right about all of the good things that yoga can do for you. And it's made me...
Aren't they miserable?
Yeah.
Yoga people.
Yeah.
Right on everything.
Yeah. I was almost as annoyed about the yoga people being right as I was to learn that you do need people. So I try to practice asking for help. I thought I knew how to ask for help, and then it turns out I was just flailing around until someone offered me help, and that is not the same thing. So I'm working on that. But I think, I don't know. It's like, I was thinking too during your message about not just like the Old Testament passage that you used, but like just the idea that that you can be still and know that I am God. And I think that stillness, like meditation, has really been helpful for me. And I remember like thinking that in this weird way, because I don't call myself a Christian. I don't know that I ever will again. But I have been able to re-engage with spirituality in sobriety in this way that has been so important to me. And a lot of that I find just in stillness, and in like sitting and staying in my body and not trying to run away from things.
That is the gift. That's like the miracle, that I was so afraid of my own thoughts. I mean, I'm never going to sit with these things. And today, being able to sit with our own thoughts, that's a huge deal. Do y'all get that? That's a huge deal.
Yeah.
Colleen, I'm so grateful that you're here and sober, and I know you're, can I say you're moving?
Yes.
Okay, because I just said it in the mic. She's moving soon, but I'm so glad you've been with us for a little while, and I hope this place is always a home away from home for you, and I hope you come back and visit often. Thank you, Colleen Leggett, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much, Colleen. Beautiful. Oh, do you want to pass the mic around again for heartaches? Because you're really good at it. I mean, like the best mic passer we've ever had. All right, y'all. The way we close here on a Saturday evening is, we begin with what we call celebrations, and we close with what we call heartaches. Maybe you've been carrying burdens this week, and you've been trying to do it alone, and you find out somewhere along the way you suck at doing it alone, and you don't have to. It's why you have community. It's why we have a God who hears the cries of the people. So maybe you need some just prayer, lifting up, some encouragement. I encourage you, if that's you, to just take the mic and put words to that burden. Sometimes that's the most powerful thing you can do, is to just simply articulate it. Colleen will have a mic on this side, and Gerald will have one on this side. And again, for those of you online, you can put your heartache in the Facebook comments or YouTube comments, wherever you're joining us from, and we will heartache with you there. Let's take 3 minutes. This time is yours.
I would like us to lift up a friend. He was a storyteller not long ago, Timothy DeWise. He is got stage 3 pancreatic cancer. He just started treatments and stuff, so just prayers for him.
Yeah, thank you, Monty. I heard this news from Carrie today, and yeah, Timothy, if you're watching, man, many, many prayers for you.
Hey friends, I'm Sarah. My dear friend Amanda is struggling with an autoimmune disorder that I don't understand and I don't know how to pronounce, but it is wrecking her body. She's got 3 kiddos. She's a faithful and amazing wife, a loving friend. She's powerfully positive, and I don't know how she gets through it the way she does, but her pain level and the treatments she's going through, it's so hard on her and her family. And be prayer warriors with me. This woman needs us.
All right, lifting her up. Thank you, Sarah.
I'm Colin. On Thursday, somebody very close to me told me something very intense about their personal life. And I've had 90 days saying no to alcohol, and that's great, but the thing I really don't fucking know how to say no to is another human being. I am an Al-Anon, codependent, an adult child, and I have been overwhelmed, and I'm so grateful to be here.
Lifting you up, Colin. Glad you're here, brother. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm Cy. I had a gentleman come into my world a couple of weeks ago, and his grandmother had passed very recently, and she was his rock in this world. And he was young and early in sobriety and relapsed really heavy. And he's really been struggling this last week. He has a bed space open in a treatment center on Monday, and I just would like to send some prayers his way. Brother Joshua, we've got you this weekend, man. Make it till Monday.
Yeah, lifting him up. Thanks for that, brother. Prayers for him.
My name is Mandy, and I'm working through step 2 again. And I'm really trying to find this loving presence in me, and my little teenage Mandy needs a lot of support to help me get through this so that we can all do it together.
Yeah. Thank you for mentioning that and lifting you up in this journey. You're not alone. You are not alone.
My name's Andrew. I just wanted to acknowledge it's a pretty hectic time, pretty divisive time we live in right now, and I just wanted us all to remember the humanity in all of us, and to remember to be kind to each other.
Yeah. Amen. Thank you for that, Andrew. Yeah. The heaviness is a real thing, and kindness is very important. Yeah. Pamela and Steve, would you join me up here? For, I mean, Steve, you don't have to come, but I mean, you are kind of part of the thing. Pamela, do you want to take the mic from Gerald and read some of our online, join our online People for Heartaches, and then I'm going to tell you why I brought these two forward.
No, that I would have worn my glasses.
Oh, do you need me? Want me to read them?
We'll figure it out.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. We're going to give lots of grace here. You want to take the first one?
Yes, it on?
Let me see if it's on. It's on.
Okay. Stephen says, please pray for all the souls we have lost in the past years.
Yeah. Lifting them up, Stephen, and all who love them. Thank you for that. And Aguilar, I can't say that name. I hope they correct me. Trying to fix myself while working on healing the pain my drinking's caused for my family. Prayers for you. Get connected in your recovery. Stay connected to other people. And yeah, you're not alone. You don't have to do it alone. All right, is that all we have online? Okay, can I tell them why you're here? Pamela has been part of this community almost from the very beginning, right? Like
just not in your backyard.
Just not in the backyard,
Yeah.
but from our first location, which was all the way back in 2019. It's been like 5 years ago, 2020.
So it's 2019?
2019 is when we moved into our first little 3,000 square foot place.
Yeah.
So it's been at least 5 years.
Wow.
And here from the beginning, and then Steve's joined us for the last couple of years. Has it been 2 years? So very important pieces, parts, people in this community, and they are moving away. This is our last Saturday to be with them in person, but you're going to come back and visit sometimes, which state are you moving to?
Wisconsin.
Wisconsin.
Isn't there going to be a Green Bay?
We're talking about it. We got some Wisconsin people are coming out for the summit, 2-day summit. You never know. Spirit moves in mysterious ways. Yes, it does. So I figured we would just say a little blessing over y'all and really tell you thank you for being part of this community, and you always have a home here. Can I say a blessing over them? Then we'll close. Oh, I got to do giving still. But let me just say a blessing over y'all, and y'all can join me. You can even just kind of, like, in a non-creepy way, stretch out your hands if you want to. God, we thank you for the gifts of life with Pamela and Steve, who've been part of this community, and all they've brought into this community, all the joy and even the heartache that Pamela's brought over the years. And we're grateful to be a place of home. We're grateful that you are going to go with them because you are everywhere in every moment, all the time. And so, God, we ask just special peace and blessing over them for traveling and the stresses that come with moving. And we give you thanks. It's in your name we pray. Amen. Thank you all. So good to have you in this community. And we will see you again soon. Oh, and listen, if you've been impacted by the mission of breaking the silence of addiction, if you call this place home, if we are your people, your tribe, your community, whatever you call these people in here or online, I hope you know we are funded by you, the people. People always ask, well, how are you funded? Well, you, the people, that is how we are funded. I know many of you have given financially. It's a spiritual practice in your life. It's a sacrificial practice in your life. And I want you to know every single week I try to tell you it's really important, and we're really grateful. Without your funding, to put it in the most honest ways, we don't exist. So when I say thank you, I mean from the bottom of my heart, thank you for giving to this place, this mission. It means a great deal. If you would like to give, there's a couple of different ways you can do it. You can download the app, Free Recovery Community, and all of our content's on there. Guest Storytellers are on there. And there's a giving button. You can give one time, you can give weekly, monthly, however you want to do it. We're grateful for all of it. Or you can go straight to the website, freerecoverycommunity.com. There's a giving button there. And of course, there's the giving kiosk just beside these doors. It cleverly says giving. And just outside these doors, there's another little giving box for those of you cash and checks type people. Those people still do exist. And I'm grateful for them. Oh, and the dip jar. The dip jar lives just outside on this little black table. It's about yay big. And all you do is you take a credit card and you dip it in and you dip it out. It's set at $20, so you can't give more or less than $20. It's set there, though you can dip as many times as you'd like. And you dip it out and it lights up. You get to feel good about your giving. It's a great way to give. Thank you all who have participated in giving here at Free. It means a great deal. Shall we go out with a prayer? Yeah, let's do it. If you would like, if you're comfortable with it, you can just open up the hands. It's just a simple sign of openness. There's no magic. Just maybe you're open to a new way. Maybe you're open tonight to being present to the gift that is your life. Yeah, and if you don't know the third step prayer, well, it'll be on your screen, and it goes like this. God, I offer myself to thee, to build with me and to do with me as thou wilt, to relieve me the bondage of self, that I may better do thy will. Take away my difficulties, that victory over them may bear witness to those I would help. Of thy power, thy love, and thy way of life, may I do thy will always. Amen. Grace and peace. See you next time.